The Outer Worlds 2 is the follow-up to Obsidian Entertainment's loved sci-fi action RPG. It sticks to what made the first game great, a choice-heavy, dialogue-rich experience set in a satirical future ruled by big corporations. This time, you play as a new hero exploring the fresh Arcadia star system, which is under the control of a powerful megacorp. Obsidian, known for this genre, built a sequel using Unreal Engine 5, which means better graphics and a bigger, more varied open world. They focused on expanding the core narrative features, especially the companion system. You'll meet a new set of companions with deeper backstories, better relationship dynamics, and more specific quests for each one, giving your crew a vital role in your adventure. Plus, they've refined the classic dialogue-based skill checks and the flaw system, which lets you take on minor lasting debuffs for bonuses. After its release on October 29, 2025, the game got a ton of praise for making a strong comeback to the beloved universe. It expanded the scale of the world and the moral choices players had to deal with. What set it apart was its sharp, no-holds-barred satire. While many RPGs focus on saving the world, The Outer Worlds 2 takes a hilarious jab at hypercapitalism, corporate red tape, and the absurdities of political correctness, providing a funny yet thoughtful experience. The Fall of Avalon is a dark, first-person, open-world RPG that takes place 600 years after the fall of King Arthur. It's a gritty spin on Arthurian myths, where a nasty force called the Wordness is slowly corrupting the world. The game puts a big emphasis on player choices, tough moral dilemmas, and immersive survival mechanics. Developed by Questline, this title is based on a popular board game and spent over a year in early access, during which the developers worked hard to tweak mechanics based on the player feedback. The full version released in Q2 2025 brought a ton of improvements, especially to the combat system, making it feel more impactful and strategic. Players can now focus on parrying and using different melee weapons, shields, and alchemy. It also rolled out a more complex main storyline and expanded crafting, housing, and survival elements to help players survive in this harsh world. The game's full launch was a hit, especially with fans of immersive fantasy RPGs. Critics liked its atmosphere and the deep lore that turns King Arthur's story into a dark horror tale. A standout feature is the wordiness mechanic. At night, a wild, primal force descends, making enemies tougher and adding unique survival challenges, so players have to change their game strategy based on the time of day. Monster Hunter Wilds is the latest big game in the popular action RPG series. It sticks to the mix of hunting huge, unique monsters, crafting gear from their parts, and taking on tougher challenges. What sets this game apart, though, is how it's made a jump to a fully open world. Instead of being split into distinct zones, it's all one seamless environment where you can explore freely. Developers at Capcom designed it to be immersive and realistic. The world features day and night cycles, along with extreme weather that changes the ecosystem. Monsters behave in more complex ways, moving in packs and interacting with their surroundings like never before. Now, you can chase a monster across different landscapes without running into loading screens. The Slinger tool from past games has been upgraded, making it handy for both moving around and helping in fights. Released on February 28, 2025, Wilds got praise from both critics and players for mixing the well-loved combat mechanics with an open-world feel. What made it stand out was the sense of being a true hunter in a vibrant ecosystem. Plus, the addition of the Secret, a raptor-like mount, made exploration a breeze and even helped out in combat, smoothing out any travel issues. Where Winds Meet is a huge open-world action RPG inspired by the Chinese wuxia tradition, which is all about martial arts heroes and a sense of honor. Set during the 5 Dynasties and 10 Kingdoms era, you play as a wandering swordsman who gets to dive into this historical world, exploring vast cities and battling it out in epic fights. Created by Everstone Studio using their own Messiah engine, the game features a rich, detailed world that mixes real history with awesome martial arts fantasy. The developers put together a unique martial arts system, letting players learn various internal disciplines, like Qigong, and fighting styles, from fan arts to swordplay. They aimed for player freedom, so you can also choose careers beyond just being a hero, like a merchant, a doctor, or even a blacksmith. Launched on November 14th, 2025, the game was a massive hit, racking up 9 million players in just 2 weeks. Gamers loved the co-op and multiplayer elements, making it feel like a blend of single-player RPG and MMO. What stood out was how fluid the movement felt. You could run on water, climb tall buildings with parkour, and glide over mountain ranges, living out that dream of being a martial arts legend. Hades 2 is the full 1.0 release of the anticipated sequel to the hit game that came out in 2020. This time, you step into the shoes of Melinoe, the princess of the underworld and sister of Zagreus. As she takes on the Titan of Time, Kronos, the game keeps that same fast-paced, smooth action combat mixed with a deep, story-driven progression, all wrapped up in Greek mythology. Supergiant Games took their time during the extended early access period, which started in May 2024, to polish the game with help from the community. When it officially launched on September 25th, 2025, it brought with it a complete story and tons of new content, like final zones, new weapons, and resolution for the narrative. This game is bigger than the original, exploring not just the underworld, but also the heights of Mount Olympus, all presented in that signature, gorgeous, hand-drawn art style. The full release got a ton of love from critics, quickly ranking as one of the best games of 2025. Players connected with Melinoe and the expanded cast of mythological characters. What stood out was the mix of challenging roguelike gameplay with a deep, evolving story. The storytelling is a top-notch, with every death moving the plot and dialogue forward, making each failure feel like a step toward progress. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2 is a big single-player action RPG that takes you back to the 15th century Bohemia, what's now the Czech Republic. It picks up the story of Henry of Skalitz, an ordinary blacksmith who gets caught up in a bloody civil war. The game sticks to what made the first one great. It's all great writing, deep immersion, and some pretty brutal realism. Warhorse Studios used the CryEngine to create a world that's twice the size of the original game, featuring 2 large, historically accurate cities. They focused on improving the complex, physics-based first-person combat, making sword fights easier to get into while still requiring skill and smart stance choices. They've also upped the ante with the non-linear consequence system. Your actions matter, forcing you to deal with the social and legal fallout of them in a medieval setting. Launched on February 4th, 2025, KCD 2 quickly gained praise for its attention to detail, from the period-accurate clothing and buildings to the grounded quest design that doesn't rely on magic. What sets it apart is its focus on realism. Unlike typical fantasy RPGs, KCD 2 makes you roleplay, as Henry has to manage things like fatigue, cleanliness, and reputation. It delivers on the promise of a true medieval simulator, winning over historical buffs and RPG lovers tired of usual fantasy cliches. Clair, Obscur. Expedition 33 is a breathtaking fantasy RPG that feels like a movie, with a strong focus on a refined, active, turn-based combat system. It's set in a world that takes inspiration from Belle Epoque Paris, and the story revolves around the last members of a society trying to stop the Paintress, a sinister figure who's slowly wiping out the population. It blew everyone's minds and was built using Unreal Engine 5. The team at Sandfall went all out on creating beautiful, stylized character models and smooth animations to make the turn-based battles feel just as exciting as action games. They also introduced a rhythm-based defense system where you have to hit button prompts to reduce damage, and a reaction-based attack system that rewards good timing during your offensive moves. Released on April 24th, 2025, the game received rave reviews for its stunning art style and an emotional, character-driven story. It quickly became known for having one of the best soundtracks ever, even snagging the Game Music Award at the World Soundtrack Awards. What really set it apart was how it took the classic turn-based JRPG format and made it fresh for Western players, showing that engaging command-style combat is very much alive. And there you have it, the best RPGs of 2025. What a great year for the genre. Which one was your favorite? Drop a comment and let me know. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. This is the Paladin signing off, and I will see you next time.